Kumusta Texas? Kumusta din natin ang mga taga Ohio and all other states at ganun din sa Philippines, Canada, Australia, United Arab Emirates o nasaan man kayong lupalop ng mundo ngayon. Samahan niyo ako sa isa na namang oras na Usapang of the Record. I am Aileen, your host dito sa Usapang of the Record. I'm an attorney licensed here in the state of Texas and in the Philippines. I am managing partner of 𝐊𝐿𝐋𝐀𝐄𝐋𝐿 law firm based here in Houston, Texas. We are live streamed via Roof Chamber Radio Pinoy Facebook page and also sa Roof Chamber Radio Pinoy YouTube channel. At sa akin din mismong Facebook page, tayo ay mapapanood live na rin. Ang Usapang of the Record ay mapapanood every Fridays at 9 p.m. Central Time, 10 p.m. Eastern at 7 p.m. Pacific naman yan. And that would be Saturday at 10 a.m. in the Philippines. Kaya mga kaibigan, like and follow Roof Chamber Radio Pinoy Facebook page and subscribe to Roof Chamber Radio Pinoy YouTube channel. Kami rin ay mapapakinggan via Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Overcast, Pocket Cast, and Notes. Ngayon ay tapos na ang eleksyon sa Philippines. Meron na tayong provisional result, di ba? Pero hindi yan ang pag-uusapan natin ngayon kasi dito sa US, hindi pa tapos ang aming eleksyon. The 2022 elections will be held on Tuesday, November 8th this year. And during this midterm election year, actually there are 435 seats in the House of Representatives and 35 out of the 100 seats in the Senate will be contested this year. And alam nyo ba ng ating featured guest today is running for state representative position in the District of Ohio. I think it's the 67th District of Ohio. But of course, before anything else, dapat kilalanin na natin ang ating special guest for today. Siyempre, he is, of course, the son of Filipino immigrants. He was born and raised in northeastern Ohio. He received his Bachelor of Arts degree from John Carroll University, where he majored in political science with a concentration in international studies. Subsequently, our guest received his law degree from the University of Akron, and he has a license to practice law in the state of Ohio. So, attorney din po siya. And he practiced law, of course, and pag-uusapan natin ang kanyang practice later on. He was also admitted to practice in the U.S. District Court, U.S. District Court, Northern District of Ohio, and the U.S. District Court, Western District of Pennsylvania. Our special guest for today has been active in politics. He began his term as mayor of Brunswick in 2014. Originally, he was appointed to the council at large seat in 2008 among a group of 14 applicants. He successfully defended the seat and won a full term in 2009. He has volunteered in numerous campaigns ranging from city council all the way to President of the United States. In school, he has experience working on Capitol Hill as well as the U.S. State Department, Bureau of Inter-American Affairs in Washington, D.C. Our guest is the first Filipino-American mayor in the state of Ohio. That's why he is our guest for tonight. He was most recently picked as one of 10 Asian American leaders from across the country to travel to Japan as a guest of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs to discuss politics, culture, business, and international relations. And ang ating special guest, he's been married for a long time, since 1998, to his beautiful wife, 𝐁𝐂𝐓𝐿 Falconi. She is a doctor, I believe, and they have 2 adult children na nasa college na ngayon. At gaya ng nabanggit ko earlier, our guest is running for state legislative seat, state representative in the newly formed District 67, which is actually made up of the city of Brunswick, Medina County's western edge, and Ashland County. Of course, kung hindi kayo taga Ohio, you may not be familiar with those counties, but if you are from those counties, I hope that you are listening, you are watching this show dahil makakasama natin ngayon ang mayor ng Brunswick, Ohio. Kilalanin natin dito sa Usapang of the Record si Mayor Ron Falconi. Welcome to Usapang of the Record, Mayor Falconi.
Hi, Eileen. Maraming salamat. Thank you for having me as a guest on your show. It is an honor for me po.
Maraming salamat at, pinaunakan niyong aming imbitasyon. I know that you are very busy right now, especially because there's gonna be an election coming up pretty soon. I'm glad that you're able to find time kasi talagang we really wanted to have you here on the show because this show is actually a legal talk show, but we would like to inspire others that you can do something bigger if you really wanted to do it. If you are the willingness and the ability and the drive, I guess, to make something big. Just like you, that's why you are our guest for today because you're a perfect example of that person.
Thank you so much, Eileen.
And narinig niyo mga kaibigan, bumati siya sa Tagalog ano, because of course like I have mentioned, he is the son of two Filipinos na nagpunta dito sa US. Do you want to tell us a little bit about the your
Yes,
Filipino
yes,
background?
yes. My parents actually met at the U.S. Embassy in the Philippines, applying for visas to come over here to America back in 1967. And my dad, unfortunately, my dad passed away in 2014. He was an electrical engineer, and my mom is a retired family practice physician. They met at the embassy. They started out in Los Angeles, California, and then my dad has relatives here in Brunswick, so he and my mom moved to the Cleveland area, and then my relatives followed afterwards, and then really the rest is history.
And then here you are.
Here I am. Here I am.
Yeah, in Usapang of the record, talking about their love story, which is very much important because that is where we see your Filipino roots started. I mean, I never heard of a story like that they met at the embassy. I heard a
Yes,
lot of love stories where they met before coming over here, or when they're already here in the United States and they'll meet somebody, a special someone, or the right person for them. But meeting at the embassy, that is just an amazing story. Fantastic. It could be a movie maybe.
yes. No, my it's a story that my dad told to us as we were growing up for many years, and we're very lucky because my parents spoke to myself, my sister in Tagalog, in the Filipino language in Tagalog, so I can understand Tagalog. You can speak fast or slow, and I can understand you. I watch movies, I watch TV shows. Of course, I've been following as you mentioned, the Philippine elections that just happened just recently. Speaking, I have a little bit of a problem. I can speak short phrases here and there. Of course, I speak. My wife, who's born and raised in the Philippines, and we she speaks to me in Tagalog. I speak to her back in English because it's just faster that way.
It's
And
easier to
of course
communicate.
I speak Tagalog with an American accent too. So sometimes the Filipinos will make fun of the way I speak too. So
Oh, yes, I can imagine that. But it's amazing that you can, understand Tagalog. You were born here, you were raised here. Um, what's the longest time you spent, in the Philippines? Like a vacation, maybe, or
we
what is the
we
longest time? Yeah.
we were in the Philippines. My gosh, back in 1980, we stayed there for Christmas for a whole month. For a whole month.
Oh,
A whole
so
month.
you've experienced the Christmas festivities. I mean, like it's just
Yes.
Chris. It's the most important holiday in the
Oh
Philippines.
yes, 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 yes. You're
Wow.
absolutely right.
So you're very deeply rooted in, when it comes to the Philippine culture, I believe.
Oh yes, yes. We obviously we speak Tagalog is spoken here in our house. Filipino food is on the dinner table, and we watch. Just a minute, we watch Philippine movies. We're aware of what's going on in the Philippines by the news, and also we're fortunate enough that our children also understand. Our two children are like me. They can understand Tagalog. You speak fast or slow or whatever, they'll understand. Speaking it, they speak back to us in English, of course. But yes,
Oh, wow. Yeah. Well, at least you cannot sell them in the Philippines if ever, right? Because they will understand. That's what we usually say, mabebenta ka sa Pilipinas. I don't know if you've heard that one. puwede kang ibenta sa Pilipinas if you don't understand Tagalog. So, yeah.
Oh, no,
Okay.
like I said, they understand like me. We have two children. Our son is 21 years old. Daughter is 19. My son he's going to his fourth year at Cleveland State University. He's majoring in education, and my daughter is entering her third year at the Ohio State University, majoring in public health, but she's pre-med. So
Okay, so one is gonna become a doctor and one is gonna become an educator.
sure, yes.
That's amazing. We need them both. Our
Yeah.
our country, yeah, I mean, our nation, the world, needs them both. So, yeah, you mentioned about, of course, it's a Filipino background, Filipino roots. You mentioned about the dishes. Of course, that's always like that in a Filipino family. Now, and do you practice law? Now, I guess my question is, who influenced you to take up a law degree or to become an attorney? Your parents, yeah, you haven't mentioned any relatives who've been an attorney. So, what inspires you, or who influenced you to get into the law practice?
When I was in college, I took a lot of pre-law classes at the time, and my originally what I wanted to do was I wanted to get involved in politics and maybe get a job on Capitol Hill. But I was taking a lot of classes when I was at John Carroll University, and a lot of them were pre-law, and they seemed very interesting. So I took those classes. I took the LSAT, the Law School Acceptance Test, and applied to law school, and then got in at the University of Akron. And so, once again, even when I was in law school, I was like, well, am I really going to practice law, or do I want to get involved in politics and all that? And but when I really when I finished law school and I started working in my first job outside of law school, which was working for a prosecutor's office, and for me it was just so I found it so very interesting, and that's why I decided to actually go and practice law. And I started out as a law clerk first in the prosecutor's office, and then after I passed the bar, I was promoted to assistant prosecutor. And one of the jobs they gave me was to basically to prosecute child support cases. So
Oh,
the-
okay.
how many child support cases I've prosecuted? More than one, but less than a million. So I, and then from there, after that, I branched out, did other work, went to learn how to do divorces, custody, visitation cases, and then when I was in law school, I enjoyed criminal law, and so I practiced criminal law as well. And then, as I mentioned, my wife is originally from the Philippines, and so that's how I got interested in doing immigration law. And so
Oh, okay.
those are my three areas. I do a little bit of everything, but those are my main three. And then out of those three, my the area of law where I practice the most really is family law cases, like
So
divorce,
so immigration, family law, and
criminal.
criminal. Yes, criminal. And you're actually saying, you're about to say divorce cases.
Yes,
I'm
yeah.
sorry, I cut you off. Yeah. Um, okay. Being a divorce attorney here, it's a little bit challenging for me. As I was actually saying, you know, few minutes ago. So yesterday I have to, was it yesterday or the other day? We had a speaker series in the Filipino-American Chamber of Commerce, Greater Houston region, and we have to introduce ourselves. And I introduced myself, being the first one to introduce. And I said, I'm an attorney here in the state of Texas. I practice divorce, and I got some feedback from the audience, and I told them, I understand it's not so enticing. This practice is no, is not so enticing, because the truth is, it's like I get a little emotional most of the time.
Sure.
Do you feel that way too in some of the cases that you handled?
Of course, it's a very emotional practice. I have clients who contact me at almost all hours of the hours of the day, because they're going through something which is very, very difficult. And
Yes.
it's going through a divorce is probably one of the worst, if not the worst, feeling you're ever going to experience in your life. So you need to have someone who's going to be there for you, someone who's going to explain how the law works, and someone who's going to fight for you, especially in this very very emotionally charged environment. Because whether the the arguments may be about money or custody or the kinds of visitation that's taking place. Each battle is still very personal to people. And so what I like to tell people is you need to have someone there who's going to be on your side and who's going to look out for what's in your best interests.
Yes, I totally understand that situation because I have to deal with that with those issues here also in Texas, and I also handle cases involving the other party in the Philippines. Have you ever handled that kind of case? Like there's somebody divorcing here and the other parties in the Philippines.
Yes, ironically, I was watching one of your other videos where you had I think a Filipino attorney, and
Yeah.
you're going through all the different scenarios if one of them came here and then one of them got
Mhm.
divorced, and is divorce legal in the Philippines? I found that to be very interesting. But yes, I do have a number of clients who are Filipinos who are here in the northeastern Ohio, Cleveland area, and it was able to secure a divorce from them for them from their Filipino spouses back in the Philippines. But yes, I do have had several of those as well. Yes.
Yeah, and I was also telling them, I guess it's for me, I'm not really advocating for a divorce, but I see it as a solution. So I was telling them, well, the Philippines, I think it's the Philippines the only country aside from Vatican who
Right.
doesn't have a divorce law. So I feel I see it as not being fair to Filipinos because of the like the cases that I've handled. It's hard to get divorced if you're in the Philippines. You have to get out of the country. It takes a lot of time, effort, money just to get a divorce case. But if a divorce, like I always tell my clients, you cannot stop a divorce from happening if the other party is really trying to leave you, get out of the marriage. You can't stop that person from getting out of the marriage. But of course, these issues are just the issues are the I think it's the issues related to the divorce cases, like for example, child custody, property distribution or division. Those are the big issues that is really making the divorce difficult to handle. Um,
Yes.
I want to ask this. I don't know about Ohio because I know it's a state law. Do you have anything that has something to do with pets? Because I recently have had encountered that. There's this pet, the dog, of course, a beloved dog, and the couples are fighting over the
Over
dogs,
the
and
dog.
so
Yes.
yeah. So do
No.
you have any provision related to how is a dog? Because we have child
No.
custody. I don't think we don't have conservatorship for dogs or
Thank,
or dog
thankfully,
custody.
I've never had to try any case with for dog custody or cat custody yet. But in all the cases in which pets were involved, the parties were able to settle their differences in regards to the pet. Even worked out probably a pet visitation also to make sure that the pet will stay with one party and then flip over to the to the other side. But yes, I've had experience of it. Like I said, thankfully we were able to resolve it, and it didn't go to trial.
I saw this very old advertisement, I don't know, commercial in the past. I can't remember when, but it's a divorce case, but they're showing. I can't remember if it's a dog or it's a pet. It's a pet, and they're like. They're ready to divide the dog into half. So it's like, oh no, yeah. But sadly, we don't have anything like uh, for pet custody. I'm not sure. I think the other states they do have something that deals with that. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, it's still because their pets are
Yeah.
part of the
Well, pets
family as
are part of the
well.
family, and in many instances, the pets are almost like children to many
Yes,
couples. So,
and I can really relate to that. We have 4 Yorkies at home,
oh,
so
you do.
and we love them all. So,
Yeah, of course, of course.
uh, okay, so Mayor Falconi, there's a question here from our audience. So let's
Yeah.
put that one on the screen, please. So let me see if I can do that. There. Okay, this is from Rusty Lopez. Thank you, Rusty, for joining us today. Here's this question: is it harder for first generation immigrants than second generation immigrants to break into political positions?
When you say first generation, I'm assuming you mean the generation that moved from the Philippines here.
The immigrants, yeah, those the first.
Immigrants here.
Yes.
I think for me, I really believe that if you are a part of your community, and you show you show the people that you want to work for them and that you care about their interests. I don't think it should really matter whether you're first, second, third, or 10th generation. I think people are very in my experience. I think people can look through all of that, can seep through all of the garbage or anything, and they can tell whether or not you would make a good representative or not, or good person who's representing them on particular issues. And I've seen people um, who were born and raised in the Philippines come here and run for office, as well as people like myself who are the sons and daughters of Filipino immigrants who run for office as well. So in the end, it's really your involvement with the community, and of course, let's be honest. There's also how you run your campaign is also very important too.
Yes, definitely. How you reach out to the people, how you talk to them.
Yes.
I actually, I I actually saw a lot of your pictures reaching out to, like the people themselves. You're going out there, going to their houses, even if it's not election, I see that you're doing that. So you're pretty much connected to the community, which I
Yeah,
believe is very important.
it's very important. I mean, you need to be able to get a pulse of what the people are thinking, and also I offer myself, especially like on election day, whether my name is on the ballot or not. I always stand at the polls. That way, I get to talk to my constituents. They get to talk to me. They tell me the things which they think are going right in the city government, and of course, they tell me about things which are going wrong in the city government. But it's very important as an elected official that you get feedback like that, so that you can know what's the best way to serve the community. It's very important, and just like whether it's standing at the polls. A lot of times like I went to the supermarket today. Sometimes people will stop me and ask me questions, or there are other times where, and it happens everywhere, and I like that. Whether I'm at the polls, whether I'm at the grocery store, whether I'm at McDonald's, whether I'm at church, you name it, people have pretty much stopped me and asked me questions, and so
But that is
that's
a good thing. I mean, it means that they care about the community, they care
yes,
about the country, they care about the future. So that's good that they're asking question rather than just being quiet and not being informed of important issues in the society or in the community. Um, uh, I we have here some okay, Lenny. Okay, okay, hold on. Let me just okay. There it is. Sorry. Okay, so we have Amelia Istariha. She's joining us also today during the live show. She said, "Hello kababayan, kumusta na po? Nakakawili naman manood ng inyong show. Willing Willy, what is Willy like? Nakakaaliw, 'di ba?" Of course, Mayor Falconi understood the word nakakawili, right?
um
It-
I don't think I understand that word.
okay, well then this is a teachable moment. Nakakawili, you're fond of, watching it. You're having fun
Oh,
watching
I
the
am.
show. Nakakawili, yes, of course.
Absolutely,
And then
absolutely.
Lenny Cachado Bushal is also here with us today. She's always present during the live show. So thank you, Lenny. And before we pause for a short break, I want to show you a picture. Oops, what is this picture? Okay, this one. All right. I see a very familiar mascot on the back in the background. Tell us about this, Mayor Falcone.
Well, as we were speaking off camera, my family and I, we went to we were there in Texas, and I believe this was a shot taken at the Jollibee at Plano. And so, unfortunately, here in Northeastern Ohio, we do not have Jollibee. So when we were planning our vacation to Texas last year, we made sure that we had time to go over there and visit the Jollibee there in Plano. So then there's my wife is behind me, and my son is behind her, and of course behind my son is Jollibee. So Yes, it's great.
Yes, I remember when I was a student, even my undergraduate, I started working as a crew in Jollibee in
Oh, you
Baguio
did?
City.
Okay.
Yes,
Wow.
I started, and since then I never stopped working. So that's my first job as a crew. It challenged me a lot. It was not easy, but I learned a lot, and from then on, I never stopped working. So I'm proud to say that I'm a product of Jollibee.
Oh, good.
Well, we have three Jollibees here in Houston now.
Oh, okay.
So Mayor Falconi, maybe this is something that you would want to have in the future, in the very near future in
Absolutely.
Ohio.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yes, yes, yes. We'd certainly be, we would love to have a Jollibee come here to Brunswick, or even just to Ohio. We would be thrilled. I know the
Yeah,
Filipino
so
community would love that.
all right, so Filipino community, watch out for it. It'll happen. When Mayor Falcone says it will happen. So anyway, so when we're gonna pause for a short break, when we come back, we're gonna talk about your political background, you as a mayor of Brunswick, Ohio, because we're really interested in how is your day look like, a day look like in Ohio as a mayor. So let's pause for a short break. Stick around.
Hello to everyone from Roof Chamber Radio. I'm encouraging all of you to stay here, stay in this chamber. If you want to be inspired, you want to be encouraged, this is where it's at. And we're all going to need this, especially, in this new year that we're in. We don't know what's up for tomorrow. We don't know what's going to happen next week or next month. But I believe that when you gather with people who believe in the power, the faithfulness, and the goodness of the Lord Jesus Christ, there is power in that in itself. So stay here. Stay in the Roof Chamber Radio. Be inspired, be encouraged, and let's all go through life, not on our own, and more than just with each other, but let's speak the faith, let's share the faith, let's live by faith, and let's walk by faith. God bless you all, everyone from Roof Chamber Radio.
And we're back, and we still have Mayor Ron Falcone of Brunswick, Ohio, here with us sa Usapang Off the Record. And I guess we have a question here from our audience. It's from Shell the Seco. Shell is asking, did your religious belief influence your political platforms? Do you
Oh,
want to go ahead
absolutely.
and answer that? Yes.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, that a lot of it is who I'm a Christian. I'm a Roman Catholic, and I grew up in the Christian faith, and with the teachings of Christ, obviously influenced the way that I conduct my own personal life. As of course, it also affects the way that I view issues and view political positions as well. Absolutely, absolutely. And I think obviously one of the chief ones is really service to others. And I think I know that politics gets a bad rap every now and then, but I think but I believe that public service really is an honorable profession, and we need to have good people serving in office, and also because when you serve office here in America, you're really serving the people, and I think that's very, very important.
Yes, thank you for that question, Shell the Seco, and thank you for the answer, Mayor Falcone. And here's another one from Chino V. Hi, Chino, and he's asking, what are your thoughts regarding the border crisis?
Hmm. It just seems like there's a very, very large number of of illegals who are trying to get into not just the Texas area, but all over the South. And I believe that a lot of that has been almost encouraged by the current presidential administration. And whether it's the border, whether it's inflation, whether it's Afghanistan, or anything, it seems that our country right now is headed in the wrong direction, and I think many people see that. And I think I believe that the upcoming midterms in November I think that's going to basically be a repudiation of the current president and the Democratic Party, and I think you're going to see a shift in the control of the Congress coming in November.
Oh, okay. Well, thank you for that question, Chino, and thank you, Mayor Falconi. But I know that you want to talk more about, what you can do later. So, but I just want to know, being the mayor of Brunswick, um, tell us about a day of your life as a mayor there.
There really is no typical day. Here in the way that we do it in Brunswick, mayor is a part-time job. So as I mentioned to you before, my full-time job is I'm an attorney, but during the day I still field phone calls, whether you're dealing from City Hall. I have emails and phone calls from constituents ranging and asking just about every single question under the sun, whether it's dealing with building issues, whether it's dealing with legal issues, whether it's dealing with economic development, taxes, you name it. I've pretty much heard the kinds of questions over the years, and I'm lucky to serve. I'm lucky that I've won my third term here as mayor of Brunswick recently, which is also my fourth term, extending back from when I was on city council. And being mayor it's been the thrill of my life. I really enjoy the job, and I really like talking to people. I can't solve every single problem every single time, but I do try. And sometimes sometimes you're able to help them out, and sometimes unfortunately you can't solve the problem, but you always make sure that I always make sure that my constituents are heard, give them the opportunity to speak with me or communicate with me somehow, and then go from there.
Yeah. Well, how big is the population of Brunswick?
Brunswick has about 35,000 people, and
Okay.
Brunswick is located in Medina County, and Brunswick is the largest city of Medina County, and so I'm fortunate enough to live and represent the people of Brunswick.
Well, obviously, I haven't been there, so I'm asking
Then
questions.
then you need to come.
I will, for sure. I will. So how is the makeup of the population? How diverse is the population in Brunswick?
Well, most of the people in Brunswick are white. I would say
Okay.
probably, I would say at least 95%, if not higher.
Oh, okay.
And then my ethnic background is Filipino. My wife was born and raised in the Philippines, and obviously we have two children. My ninang and my tito is also living here in Brunswick. So there's 6 that we're aware of, and there's, of course, I joke, but there's maybe out of the 35,000, I'm guessing maybe 50 Filipinos, probably.
Okay.
Yeah, but most of the
Oh,
people here are not Filipinos. Most of the people here are Caucasian.
now I know why there's no Jollibee there.
Well,
Like I
it's just in
said,
Brunswick. It's just in Brunswick.
yeah, that's in
Ohio.
Brunswick.
In Northeastern Ohio, there's we have a larger Filipino population. Obviously, not as big as maybe in Texas or Los Angeles or Chicago or New York, but we're a small but still growing community. I remember when I was growing up, and even now to a certain extent, when we meet Filipinos, whether we're out in public, for the most part, we know who they are. Okay, I know that's impossible if you go to Chicago, because you'll probably run into Filipinos whom you don't know. But here, for the most part, everyone knows each other. But like I said, the numbers are growing, and there's actually Filipinos whom I don't know now when I run into them.
So, Mayor, okay, so we're planning to go to Brunswick.
Good.
So what am I expecting to see and experience in Brunswick? You're selling Brunswick to me
Well,
and to people, of course.
of course, like I said, we're a very, very friendly community. We make up about 35,000 people. We're just south of Cleveland. If you're looking to build a business, we're right here on Interstate 71, we're very close to Cleveland. We're also close to the city of Akron. So we're not exactly in Akron or Cleveland, but if you need to get to those places, we're right here, close by. You don't have the maybe you don't have the crime that Cleveland has or Akron has, but Brunswick is one of the safest communities here in the state, and also one of the safest communities here in Ohio. We're a very business-friendly community. We want to make sure that your businesses come here, not just come here, but also come here and then thrive, stay and thrive here. And then in the past, because when I was before I was mayor, I was on the economic development. I was chairman of the Economic Development Committee for the City Council, and then even before I was in elected office, I was on the city's Board of Zoning Appeals, where I tried to make sure that when businesses came here, that the city regulations were fair to them, and to make sure that they could build their business here and thrive.
Well, two on my bucket list are checked. First, safety, and of course, business friendly. Because we need to survive. I mean,
Of
we need
course.
to not just survive, but like I said, thrive. So I want to know if we will be able to survive and thrive in a place where before we decide to settle in one place. And of
Of course.
course, if like in terms of survival, of course, there's a safety reason also, like consideration. Of course, is this a safe place to stay? So the other one in my bucket list is education, because I have children, and it's very important for me for them to get the best education. And that's why when I heard that one of your children is getting into education, becoming an educator. So how's the education system in Brunswick? I mean, just talking about your city, so because it's hard to talk about the entire state for now.
Sure. No, we have a very good educational system here, whether you're going to use the public schools, the Brunswick City schools, or even the private schools here. There's a private school here close to here in Brunswick, St. Ambrose, does an excellent job. My kids graduated from there as well, but I've also worked with teachers in the Brunswick school system, and they've given me the honor and the opportunity to address their children, and I can tell you that the educators here in the Brunswick system are top notch, and we want to make sure that obviously that they educate your children. Also, we have access to community colleges here in Brunswick. We have Cuyahoga Community College at the Brunswick University Center, and also the Medina County University Center is also just down the road from us. We also have four-year universities just down the road. Like I said, my son attends Cleveland State University up in Cleveland as well, and then there's also the University of Akron, which is also just down the road from us as well.
Okay, so everything is
Everything's
close by.
Baldwin Wallace is also just down the street from us too. So we have a number of universities which are very in close proximity to the city.
Well, interesting. They're close by. So, how is the public transportation in Ohio? In Brunswick, or in that area, that county, the three, let's say District 67, because there are the three counties that you're talking about,
Well,
right?
District 67 is actually a new. It's basically has just been drawn, and it encompasses about half of Medina County and all of Ashland County, which is adjacent to Medina. And so that's because once every 10 years we redraw all of the lines, and so there's been a great amount of arguing and a great amount of political maneuvering as to how and where the lines are drawn, and so that's really why, unfortunately, here in Ohio, we're going to be having two primaries. We've had one primary just a few weeks ago, which encompassed the gubernatorial, U.S. congressional, and U.S. Senate races, and of course the local races. But because the state legislative lines have not been settled upon, the next election is going to be on August 2nd, and so I've been preparing to hopefully finish this election on August 2nd. For the longest time, I was preparing to finish this election on May 3rd, but now it's extended for a few more months. So So my team and I have
How
been,
many other? Yeah, there are other. How many candidates are there in? And
there
I think
are, I have,
in 67th, yeah,
in the
in the
67th district,
67th, yeah, yes,
67th, I have 3 other opponents. So
opponents. Okay.
yeah, so I've been battling over the past few months, and my team and I have been knocking on doors. We have our social media out there. Oh, also, if you could, mention that if I can have the opportunity to mention, if people have access to Facebook, if they could like Ron Falconi for state representative. That way you get to see some of the things that my campaign team and I have been doing over the past few months to try to make sure that our conservative message is going out to the people of the 67th Ohio House District. Yes.
Yes, and we're also going to knock at the door remotely right now.
Yes.
Virtually right now. We're knocking at your door.
If people could like Ron Falconi for state representative, and then you can also vote. I mean, you can also visit my website at www.ronfalconi.com. And then you can also see some of the pictures that I've been posting is there as well, and also to get involved and also to make a donation if you so choose to do so.
Yes, and since we're already talking about your bid for the state representative position, I think we can ask this question now from 𝐊𝐈𝐋𝐀𝐋𝐍. There it is. Who? Okay, let's go ahead and read it first. The Supreme Court has voted to strike down the landmark Roe versus Wade decision. According to an initial draft majority opinion written by Justice Samuel Alito. What is your opinion on this issue? I think we're going to pause for a short break first, and then Mayor Falconi will answer that question when we come back. So stick around.
Hi, we are so pleased to be with you. Thank you for being with us. We want to invite you to be part of the Difusión Latina, Portal de Fe. We are the Spanish ministry of Roof Chamber Radio, and we are so blessed to be with these guys all around the world. Please be with us on YouTube and Facebook. We would love very much to know how God is blessing you, and please come along and support us. God bless you, and see you then.
And we're back, and we still have our Mayor Falconi here in Usapang Off the Record, and we have a very big question that we read just before the break. And so, do you want us to go ahead and read it again, or do you want to answer the question,
Well, I didn't
Mayor
answer the question here. I don't think the Supreme
Oh.
Court has struck it down just yet. I think I think and I hope that they will strike it down. I believe that that decision was wrongly decided back in the 70s, and that it's really for each individual states to decide on the legality of abortion. And so, if you're asking me my question of abortion on the abortion issue, I am pro-life. Yes.
And of course, we respect everyone's opinion here. So, Usapang Off the Record. That's why it's off the record. So, okay. All right. So, Mayor Falconi, for the benefit of people who are watching right now or may not be familiar with what does a state representative do, could you please tell us a little bit about it? Like, just give us an idea so we'll understand what is that position for.
Yes, because like I know everyone knows what a United States congressman does, because we have 435 congressmen, and there's for each congressional district, that congressional representative represents them in Washington D.C. to vote on and to represent them in a federal legislature. What I'm doing is I'm running for one of 99 state legislative districts here in the state of Ohio. To represent the people of the western part of Medina County and all of Ashland County in Columbus. Columbus is the state capital of Ohio. To represent them in writing laws and helping to shape legislation for the people of Ohio. So I'd be representing one district out of 99 if I'm successful to help write the laws for my constituents, for whom I hope would be my constituents down in Columbus. Yes.
Okay, well, thank you for enlightening us what as a state representative too. So now follow-up questions to that. What is your, I want to know, or maybe everybody who's listening right now, or maybe watching right now, or watching later would want to know, what vision do you have for the state of Ohio?
Well, here when I originally started, I actually I actually ran for the state senate before back in 2020 and was not successful. I started at the beginning of the pandemic, and then now when I'm running for the state legislature again now, almost towards the end of the pandemic. Many people here in Ohio are opposed to vaccine mandates and basically, the government telling you that you have to have vaccinations and things like that. And many people were very, very opposed to that. And when I started my position, when I started my run, I began to hear some of these things just starting out, and then over the course of this pandemic, you've had many people basically in revolt against the state's mandates, against employer mandates on whether or not you should take vaccinations. For me, I think it's a personal choice. I think that if you want to get a mandate, I think that you should get one. If you don't want to get a vaccination, then don't. And I think that's a personal issue. I don't think it should be forced upon people. And those are the issues that started out and have continued during the course of my run for the legislature, whether it was my unsuccessful run for the Senate or even now when I'm running for the state legislature. And then another issue that has popped up, is basically parental control in the schools. And as a parent, you want to make sure that you have a say in what's going on in your child's education. And we just hear stories now about why teachers are trying to promote basically that America is an institutional or is a institutionally racist or structurally racist country. And that's just absolutely not true. And if we're having teachers teach that to children about our country, I think that's wrong. Certainly, America is in my view, America is certainly not perfect. I mean, look at who we elected as president and vice president. Okay, but should students be taught about American history? Absolutely. But I think that when teachers are trying to say that America is a structurally racist country or America is an institutionally racist country, I think that is wrong and that should not be taught in school.
Well, wow, yeah, very, very sensitive issues actually, because yeah, I was an educator. Well, I consider myself still an educator because once you're a teacher for life.
Sure.
So
Sure.
it's really difficult. It's a very sensitive issue actually to deal with racism and all that. It's especially right now. We hear a lot of hate crimes. Like
It's also it just breaks my heart every time I see something or read about something or see something online about all the anti-Asian hate that's occurring. Especially in areas like New York City and the San Francisco Bay Area. There are many Asians who have been assaulted and sometimes even killed. And it really, for me, it sickens me that we have leaders in those cities and also AAPI leaders in those cities who don't really seem to address the issue of anti-Asian hate. And it seems like they turn a blind eye to many of the assaults and the killings of Asians in general and Filipinos in particular.
Yes.
That there should be more of. To me, I see like such a lack of anger. I want to ask the question: where is the anger? Where is the outrage when Asians are being attacked? and attacked and killed in these major American cities, especially in the New York, the New York City area, as well as the San Francisco Bay Area.
That's true. It's really disheartening to see, and I see this question from Benji, and I didn't realize. Okay, Benji already asked a question for you because he's asking
Yes,
what can you say about Asian hate crimes? Yeah, do you
it's
want
not
to?
just yeah. I just find it's very, very. For me, it's very disgusting when you see it, especially in areas in which are supposed to be very, very woke, or very, very liberal, or very, very
Yes.
progressive. Asians are being attacked. In many cases, Asians are being killed. And I know that the White House signed an anti-Asian hate bill at the White House. I found it surprising that he didn't have any victims of anti-Asian hate there also when during the signing of the bill. To me, sometimes I think people are just trying to push a political agenda, trying to make a political statement, as opposed to actually going out and helping and trying to protect Asian, like I said, Asian lives in general, or Filipino lives in particular. And it's very sad, and we need to speak out more against this. I think a lot of this occurred obviously in the spring of 2020.
Yeah.
And I think it coincided with the basically the demonization of the police and the defunding of the police. And once that happened, I believe that it was almost open season on Asians, especially in major American cities. And I think that's wrong. And it just breaks my heart once again every time I see a new story about an attack on an Asian person in New York City, and as well as the San Francisco Bay Area.
Yes, I
It's very
couldn't imagine this kind of hate crime happening in the major cities, which is very diverse. It's just I ask myself, like, why is this happening? They're supposed to be more inclusive now because it's very diverse. Everybody's on the street. Luckily here in Houston, especially, even in here in Texas, we don't have much of those kind of hate crimes, Asian hate crimes like that. But we talk about it still. I mean, because it's an important issue.
Sorry,
We
but
don't have,
even
yeah,
there was even one in Dallas, maybe just recently, a few weeks ago, about, I believe it was a Korean place, and then some Koreans
yeah,
were
that's the it's
yeah, but
isolated issue, yeah, but not a lot.
you don't really hear about those issues, in the mainstream media. It's very downplayed, and I think, and I don't know, you have to wonder why it's being downplayed. And I think that we should. For me, I believe Asian lives matter too, and then
Of
and
course.
unfortunately, it doesn't seem to be the case when you're trying to report some of these issues, because, in my view, it doesn't meet a political narrative. I think that's wrong, and I think that that leaders in major American cities, even especially AAPI leaders in those cities, or AAPI leaders across the country, should condemn these attacks. I believe that the perpetrators of these attacks should be arrested, should be prosecuted, and should be imprisoned. Period. But you're not going to hear that from people.
And I totally agree with you. They have to be condemned, they have to be prosecuted, they have to be put in jail so that it's not going to happen again. Actually, that's one of the questions that we ask here when we had our speaker series about these issues that why is it that it keeps on happening? It has something to do with, because actually whoever did these crimes, this is not the first time it wasn't the first time they did it, or they're probably out on probation, or on bail, and they commit another crime. So that's just
I
really
agree. I think API leaders should stand to make a statement, stand with the police, say that we're not going to agree to the defunding of the police. I think that if groups are going to be demonizing the police, that should stop, and basically call the AAPI leaders should ask ask the police to patrol Asian communities more. And once again, people should, if you see something, say something. And I think that these criminals and thugs should be, like I said, they should be arrested, they should be prosecuted, and they should be imprisoned. And we should stop the demonization of the police, and not defund the police, but refund the police. Make sure that they have the resources necessary to protect the community and to go after the bad guys. And I think that's necessary.
Go after the bad guys. Of course, as a prosecutor, you know how important it is to go after the bad guys because they're gonna do it again. And yeah, okay, we have some questions. Let's say
Sure.
hi first to Ricky Ginhawa. He's based here in Houston. Hi, Ricky. Thank you for joining us today. And also, from Gian. I'm not sure if I'm going to pronounce your last name right. Torrijos. Torrijo. Sorry. Okay. Good evening to you as well. He says good evening. And from Delia Ligot, my mom. Hello. We're watching. She's watching in Australia.
Oh,
And
wow.
there's yes, and there's this question here. Let's put that one up. This is from Roof Chamber Radio Pinoy. Is it possible? Okay, so well, definitely not from me. From our show, whatever it is. They want to know the answer to this question. Is it possible that it is being downplayed because most of the perpetrators against Asians are non-whites? I think it's talking about the
Well,
Asian hate.
I think that the Asian hate crime movement, I think, was originally founded because they wanted to blame white supremacists, and let's be honest, they want to blame Trump voters. And as that has played out over the months and over the years, that narrative is a false one. They're absolutely wrong. And as I pointed out again, if all you need to do is watch some of the news reports coming in from the New York City area and the San Francisco Bay Area, you'll find that a lot of the people who are committing these crimes, I think it's clear that they are not white supremacists. They're not Trump voters. I find it very hard to believe that there are Trump voters in the San Francisco Bay Area or in the New York City area who are committing these crimes. And like I said, I think that the media and certain peoples they have an interest in trying to promote an agenda and trying to promote a narrative. And once that narrative is not proven by the many facts that are coming forward, a lot of the crimes that are committed against Asians in general and Filipinos in particular will be just treated like a local crime story. It'll just be treated like a local crime story, and that's wrong. This is a national problem. If Asian Americans are being targeted almost every day in these major American cities, that's a problem. No one seems to want to speak out about it, especially 𝐊𝐈𝐋 leaders don't want to speak out about it because, like I said, I don't believe that it doesn't fit a political narrative, and I think that's wrong. So I think we need to do our best to highlight a lot of the victims of these crimes and the families of the victims of these criminals who've committed these heinous acts against Asians. And I believe that their faces should be plastered, all over the news, all over the internet, so that we know who these people are, so that we can avoid them, and hopefully that if there's evidence that's needed, that people will come forward so that we can prosecute these people and make sure that our cities are safe again. There's widespread crime, and it has to be brought under control, and it's clearly still a problem these years later after the demonization of the police and the defunding of the police started back in the spring of 2020. This is a problem that has to be addressed. It doesn't seem like it's being addressed, and I think it's just because it doesn't fit a political narrative. So, 𝐊𝐈𝐋 leaders and the media just don't really want to talk about it. And that's sad.
It's the Mayor Falconi fast forward 1 year from now, we're actually wanted to see some changes, not just in your state, but of course in our country. in the world as well. Because at the end of the day, we all just wanted to have a safe place to live, a better world to give to our children to the
Of course,
future.
of course,
Yes.
of course.
And we don't have time anymore. I have so many questions, but but we now know more about our Mayor Falconi here, and of course, as a state representative in the future. But I know that there's so much more we want to know about you. But this is my last question for you. For those who don't know you personally, we just want to know who is Ron Falconi.
Oh gosh, I mean that's pretty. Uh, I live my life almost on as a public official, so it's pretty much an open book. I mean, I like to tell my clients, I'm probably one of the easiest persons to get a hold of on the planet, because everyone knows where I am. I post my movements on Facebook, and because as an elected official, people know where I am. Who am I? I am a father. I'm a husband. I am a very, very proud resident of the city of Brunswick, and I hope to be a representative for the people of the 67th House District, who will go to Columbus and serve you as a God-fearing conservative representative.
And there it is. Fight for Ohio. Ron Falconi there. Thank you so much, Mayor Falconi and future state representative Falconi, Ron Falconi. Thank you so much for your time, effort. I know that you're very busy, but you found time to be with us here tonight. And I know there's another question here, but we don't have much time. Maybe you can address this question later on. How do you promote Asian culture in your town? This is from Gian
Really,
Torres.
really very quickly, tomorrow here, I'm going to be speaking at the Cleveland Asian Festival at 12 noon, because like I said, there's a large Asian American community here in northeastern Ohio, and as the only Asian American, at least the first Asian American mayor that's here in the area, they've given me the honor of talking during the opening ceremonies tomorrow.
Yes, thank you again, Mayor Falconi, for sharing your life and your vision today here sa Usapang Off the Record. And of course, we want to invite you again in the future for other legal matters that we could probably
Absolutely.
talk about.
Thank you so much. This was so much fun. Thank you for having me. Maraming
Thank you.
salamat.
You're very much welcome, at sana babalik kayo sa ating
Oh, yeah.
show. Yes, and sa lahat naman nanood at nakinig sa atin ngayon, if you have any questions for me, please visit our website, legaldealsandlaw.com. You can send me a message or call us at 832-253-5353 or send us a message from the website. Ayan. And so thank you, Felicine, our technical support director sa Usapang Off the Record. At sa lahat ng mga nanood at nakinig sa amin, maraming salamat. Magkita-kita tayong muli sa susunod na Usapang Off the Record next week. Have a great weekend, everyone. Bye.